I waited months to build this, and when the time came, I was afraid to start. Not because the instructions were especially difficult, but the longer I thought about this project, the larger it became in my imagination. It had to be impressive. It had to feel dwarven. And then almost immediately, I built part of it wrong. I fixed it off camera because apparently my first response to uncertainty is still panic rather than cinematography. But the mistake was not really the problem. The problem was that I had spent so long imagining this build that I thought I needed to understand the whole thing before I could make the first decision. So I stopped trying to solve the entire Cogtower. So I took a deep breath and just jumped into it, doing it a step at a time. One surface, one material, one decision I could make. Likewise, the mountain and the mine needed a plan. I knew where the mine belonged, but what I didn't know is how I was going to build the butte around it and extend from it and make everything fit. How high it should rise, where the slopes should fall, how the whole thing would connect to the rest of Barak-Karandul. So, no, I still didn't have the whole mountain plan, but I had enough to keep going, and that's probably just as well, because some problems don't wait politely for an invitation.
What is that?
The timber was the next place where the plan began to change. I had started dark, but once it was all together, too much of the lower structure disappeared into the shadows. And I didn't want it as pale as the cover art either, so I kept the darker base and pushed the highlights until the supports separated from the upper beams. The same thing happened underneath. One solid mass of ironworks felt too monolithic. So I broke it up with lead belcher, some Runelord brass, and then created a mix of Rhinox and Abaddon and Lamian for some grease. Now, most of that underside will barely be seen, but once I gave myself permission to change the plan, I stopped trying to build the Cogtower and started building my Cogtower.
There's trouble brewing at the gate. Better come quickly.
And the more the Cogtower came together, the more my confidence began to grow. I could stay true to the core of the model without feeling trapped by it. I could start to enjoy what was already there, and then start asking myself what else it might become. That was when the build stopped feeling intimidating and started feeling a little exciting. The options were still open, but now I could still actually see them. I kept the cannon intact because, well, dwarves and cannons go together like, I don't know, Skaven and Warpstone. Some things simply do not require improvement. And the brass, the ornament, the blue shield all began to give the machine its own voice. Instead of worrying about whether the finished Cogtower would work, I was beginning to imagine where it could go next. And I already had some ideas that might be surprising.
Look what I found!
Found?
I thought he was dead. I am more concerned about who is going to come looking for that.
Another 3 families of the Wee Folk have requested passage out of the Western Gate.
That makes 18 this month. Why are they leaving?